Welcome back from break, from a moment to catch your breath, maybe to move off yourself what it is you might be needing. And we're really going to take that energy and that intention into our next offering with Sue Kuyper. Sue Kuyper is an incredible somatic practitioner that also has just an awesome long time experience working with organizations supporting their wellness and health and awareness, so that they might provide the services and support that they so deeply desire doing. I'm excited to hand space over to you, Sue.
I want to ask if you can put yourself on the gallery view, right, in the right side. And if you're comfortable coming on your camera, even if it's just for a moment, I want us to just feel the collective that we're in. And we don't care how your hair looks, or if you're in your pajamas, or if your lighting is bad. Right. And those of you that need to leave the camera off, please feel comfortable to leave the camera off, and we're still extending presence and connection with you. There's some faces here I know, and there's some faces I don't know. And then just notice what's happening in your body as you come off camera or as you watch people come off camera. And when I say that, I just mean sensations, right? Simple noticing of sensations, right? Does something come alive? Does something go numb or tighten, right? Does something get sweaty? My palms just got sweaty. Do you feel numb somewhere? And I want to just say to you that all of that is embodiment that's taking care of you in some way, right? Keeping you safe in some way. Hello, those people in the car, people in their office. Again, if you're in your bed, I'm feeling you. If you're traveling from point A to point B. And then if it's comfortable for you, just do a little shake in whatever way you want. And you can be cute in it or not, doesn't matter. And then do a little tapping, right? This is everything I say for the next half an hour is just an invitation. So if you don't want to, don't do it. We call that radical self-responsiveness. And it's also disability justice, in that what I'm doing might not work for your body, right? And then any other movement that you want to make, that your body has an urge to make. Some of us like to rock. Some of us like to stretch. Yes, radical self-responsiveness. And so now feel your sensations. And just notice, right? And see what it's like to notice your sensations without judgment. And then notice judgment, right? Damn, I'm tight. Why am I numb? My jaw's bothering me. This is embarrassing, whatever. I hate this ish. I don't know what the cursing protocol is here. I want to say that somatics is a word that, like, I don't think many communities relate to. I don't really like it. I wish we could call it something else. I also want to name that it comes from a long lineage that goes back. And so many of your peoples, many of our peoples, even for white folks way back in the day, body up healing, body up transformation was more the norm. And in some communities, it still is, right? Like body-based healing is nothing new. So it's not just coming here through Sue Kuyper, and it's not just coming here through the word of somatics. But I do want you to think of it as how do I make change from my body up or through my body towards what we're talking about? You know, what Savannah was just talking about, so wonderful to be on and listening. The belonging that we're talking about is not just with our words. Right? It's not just with our theory and our methodology, it's also with how we feel in our bodies in terms of our receptiveness and connection to each other and to the youth that you work with. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I guess I am going to turn on the slides for a minute. I don't like losing your face. So I'm going to say a couple things. And as I'm saying that, I want to invite you to keep feeling for sensations. And sensations is really the only way we can work with our bodies. We can't think our hand, right? Or think our belly. It's like once you feel the sensations in your belly, then you're more embodied there, if that makes sense. You're more present there. And from there, you can make a change, right? Or not even just for the sake of making a change, but for the sake of being more aware of what is, right? Of what is happening. Our relationships with our bodies mirror our relationships with the world. Here's my little introduction slide, which Oriana already gave me a nice introduction. I just want to name gratitude to all my teachers and elders and ancestors, and let you all know that I was raised on Lenni Lenape territory, or New Jersey, and I'm greeting you from Ohlone land where I learned how to adult here in Oakland, California. And then this comes through Prentice Hemphill, who is one of my teachers and peers in somatics, and I definitely encourage you, if you don't know about them, to look them up. The body in our society, in a dominant society, the body is seen as a place to control or dominate, right? How many of us push through our bodies in order to do our work, right? And then, I don't know, I'm talking to school people, so I imagine control of youth, control of certain settings, right? Line up, stay still, all that stuff is a controlling of the body. I control my emotions. I don't want to show things, all of that. It's also individual and individualized expression. Of course, we're all individualized expressions, but it's often not conceived of as a place of connection. It's a place that we can be ashamed of, how it looks, the fact that we have sex, all of those different things. It's inconvenient, right? Like our body holds us back. This is, and then it's also irrational, right? Like the head is the rational part and the body is the irrational part, which we could get into all kinds of like femme-hating orientation around that as well. So in a liberated, right, we're here to practice somatics for the sake of liberation. So a liberated orientation of the body is like our bodies are forever changing, right? The way my body is today is not how it's going to be tomorrow or in 10 years, right? Our body is relational. Again, that stuff about belonging, we do that through the body, not just through our brain. And also it reacts. Our bodies are constantly in reaction to our surroundings and to each other. And it's a place of learning, expression. And then everybody maybe has different orientation to this, but it's through our bodies that we also access what's eternal and access our own aliveness, right? Which is key. Like aliveness is what keeps us going. It's what brings us life, as opposed to the dominating of our body. So it's just one way to think about it. One more slide, and then we're going to practice. I just want to bring one other concept before we practice, which is the concept of a safety shape. Our bodies have a certain embodiment that are honest adaptations or default reactions to the society that we live in, right? It's both our individual traumas and experiences, but it's also like what I need to do to get through this world based on our identities, based on our positionalities, right? So we're shaped by society. We're the logical outcome of society. And it's intelligent, it's historical safety shape, it's collective, and it's relational. And under pressure, it shows up, right? Our safety shape or our embodiment is always taking care of safety, belonging, and dignity. And, it's a longer workshop to like really go into all of this, but as we practice, whatever you find, I want you to remember that that is an honest adaptation or a default reaction to your body that's taking care of something. Okay? All right. I'm going to say two more things, and then we're going to move into practice. First of all, practice Kai Chang Tam, one of my Shiro somatic practitioners, another beautiful poet. Definitely look for that name. Says choice is more important to practice than practice, and choice is a practice too. So whatever I'm doing, you have choice in terms of how you want to participate, and just notice that choice. Disability justice means that I'm going to keep presenting like different ways to do it and also be self-responsive in terms of what works for your body. And then notice when you're dominating yourself versus responding to yourself. And then one of my teachers always said, you can't F up practice. You can't mess up practice because it's just practice, right? So any part of you that's like, oh, I hope I do this right, that comes up, notice that as well, right? Because we're always trying to do it right. All right, I am gonna stop sharing. And then again, in collective practice online, we're going to use a little imagination. I would love you to imagine that we're in the same room together. Like, you know, how cool that we can be together. Imagine that we're in many different places, but how wonderful it would be to be practicing in person in our bodies. If you could like feel the warmth of the body sitting next to you, I want you to imagine that. If you could maybe smell someone, and I'm saying in a positive way, or hear my breath, right? Hear my breath a little bit more, or notice when I say, yeah, or maybe burp a little or whatever it is, right? And then it can be great to turn on cameras again, so that we feel like we're in collective practice again. If that's not possible for you, we'll keep feeling for you and keep feeling for us. This practice I'm going to stand for. If it works for your body or your space to come into a standing position, I want to invite you into that. All right. We learn off of each other's bodies, right? And so we are practicing collectively for a reason, right? When I'm feeling for your body and watching your body, it impacts mine, and also can help us practice collaboration or collectivity as well. Every practice has a purpose, or not a purpose, it has a principle. So the principle behind this practice is to practice feeling aliveness and practice feeling the body as a place of center where we can get centered, and also a place that we can just be with what is. Just notice what is. So I want you to both notice what is and also feel for center. Okay. If you're standing, and maybe I'll show you seated in a minute, but if you're standing and it's comfortable, go ahead and put one foot in front of the other. If you decided to stay seated, if it works, scoot to the edge of your seat a little bit and put one foot in front of the other. And I'm inviting you to do that so you can have a little more access to ground. And then feel for your center, this place below your belly button. If you want to, you can put a hand here. And when I say feel for, I want to ask you to notice sensations there, right? So you can drop in a little bit, like let gravity have you and drop into this place that sometimes we think of as a bowl. And then notice what it feels like, right? Is it numb? Is it hard to stay there? Is your brain popping around? Is it really active? Is it very quiet or still? Mine feels kind of like I'm pushing forward. Is it feeling like it has some tension in it or softness? And then notice your legs and your feet, right? Whether you're seated or standing, let the ground, let yourself be a little more aware of ground. And then remember everything I said before. If you're judging yourself or you're wanting to do this right, see if you can just go back to noticing, okay? And then let's feel for each other as we notice our centers, right? I'm doing this with you, you're doing this with me. And then go ahead and practice, and I think I should show you in the seat as well, but standing, you're going to move your centers back and forth. Seated, keep moving your centers back and forth as I show you seated. Seated, I don't necessarily want you to go like this because then you're crouching your center. So just practice like a little bit like this. And again, only if it works for your body, right? Like a little scooting back and scooting forward, not like this, okay? Not doubling or folding yourself. And then let's feel for each other's movement. And you know, if you're not moving, you can also just feel for it energetically, if that makes sense. Like join us in the movement. We don't have to do it at the same time. And notice if you're breathing, by the way. And then we're going to start adding some arms, again, if it's comfortable for you, right? So your arms are going to come up and then drop down. Stay connected to ground. Yeah, and I love all the different adaptations that you're doing. And those of you that are off camera doing this with us, in whatever way you're doing this with us, we're feeling you. And then go ahead and hold for just a moment like this, just for a moment, see what that feels like. Notice your arms. We're extending out here. We're extending out to each other. And then go ahead and just let your arms drop. And see how that feels. Hold for a moment there. And then let's continue just a few more times. If it feels ridiculous, welcome. We can be playful here and feel our bodies. And then just to direct you back to sensations, right? Just like, what are my legs like? What's my center like? Can I still feel it? And what are my arms like? And then go ahead and pause. And if you're comfortable, just close your eyes for a moment. If you're not comfortable, just like take your gaze away from the computer and just notice sensations. Notice if there's like some increased aliveness in your body. Notice where, and what I mean by aliveness can feel like a running, a streaming, or a tingling. Notice if you feel tense. My jaw feels a little tense. Notice if you feel numb or disassociated, right? And remember, this is all part of your body taking care of you. And then notice your mood. And what I mean is a word or two, not a check-in from today. Well, it's been a good day or what a great workshop. But like right now in this moment, what's your mood? Because we also center in our moods. Okay. If you're standing, I'll return to seated with me. So as you're sitting, go back to sensations. And I don't like the screen share, y'all, but I'm going to do it because I want you to just see my questions. Because I'm going to ask you to feel for a sensation and put it in the chat and try to be, you don't have to make meaning of it, right? Like my throat feels tight because it's hard for me to speak or something. Like it doesn't have to have a because, just like put a sensation in the chat and maybe one word for a mood. A sensation in the chat and one word for a mood. And I'll screen share just for a moment while we're doing that, and then we'll do a little debriefing. What did you notice in your sensations? And a word or two for a mood. Chats. Desire to sway, feeling sensations at a place where the shoulders and spine meet, mood, grateful, calm. Tingling, worried, ready, rooted, tender. Notice what's happening in you as you hear these from your comrades, feeling both sluggish and stiff and present and open, tingling, uplifted, gravity, release, calm. Fingers heavy, looking. My head feels heavy and electric, tingly, relaxed, anxious. Slight headache, good mood. Anxious. Yeah, come on off. I'll mute, Meryl.
I noticed it was harder for me to really feel the sensation of my center, and it took 'em a while to find that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Can I ask you a question? Yeah. Um, and this might feel, I don't know what it'll feel. I just met you, but like, what happened when it was hard to find, if that makes sense? Like, did you get up in your head? Did it feel like you were popping in and out? Like, what did you notice in that hard to find?
Yeah, I noticed that I wanted to be in my brain thinking about the feeling rather than settling here and feeling my center, my core. Yeah.
Great. So you did the practice so perfectly, right? You did it right. And that's like great noticing, right? It's great noticing in terms of like how am I in relationship with my body, right? And I'm not making all kinds of assumptions or conclusions around you, but I imagine there's a lot of the rest of us that were feeling the same thing, right? How do I feel this place, like the sensations in this place in my body? The center in this methodology and also in many other lineages, right, is a place of, it's the center of gravity, first of all, but it's also a place of knowing, right? Like in English we say, like, what do you know in your gut, right? There's like wisdom down here that's not just up in our heads, and part of practicing with the body is getting access to more of what we know, to more of who we are, as opposed to all the problem solving is happening from like here on up. I really thank you for stepping in and sharing that part. I bet you that was a common noticing for folks. What did others notice? And anything at all, really.
For me, like the urge, or not even urge, but like the draw or pull to like time travel kind of in my head, like as I was experiencing different emotions, like going to different like moments.
Yeah.
I don't know a more specific way to put it without getting overly specific, but like as I was experiencing physical sensations, it made me think about different times of my life.
Working in this methodology, it's like, and I want to name, like, this is just one, but anything that's a body based methodology of change. One of the ways you conceive of the body obviously is the present, right? Like this is the present right here. And part of what we can default into, probably saying something very common, is like we feel the past, we feel the future. um, and the body, when I was talking about shape, the body is made up of all of our past and present and future, right? Like how we orient to the future is in our bodies, right? Part of being transformational is we want to orient to a different future. And I feel like the way I'm saying that today is like, please, a different future, right? Like, and so that's an embodiment as well, right? Like, how do I embody towards what I want, um, even though we don't have it yet? So that's what that makes me think of what you said. Create a story about what I was feeling. Yeah, same. Melissa says same. What I thought should be happening. So good noticing. We are very. We have internalized very the like. Am I doing it right? How should this be? And also, it's a tricky like. Of course, there's reasons that we have sensations that we have, but defaulting into our head can be like, let me understand why. Let me understand why. Where instead of going, okay, stomach, you're tight. Let me stay in that tightness. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, please.
I can just imagine doing this in person, and that's what I was thinking a lot about, how I really wished that everybody was in front of me because it allows us to get a little bit more free. Because once you start, once the mirror neurons start going around and you start to feel it from somebody else, then you actually catch that and start to maybe sway your hands a little bit, or become more free with your movement.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah, and I'm just thinking of that free, right? Like, what feels free in our bodies, right? What feels like freedom in our bodies? Yeah, it's a lot to say about that. Yeah, I wanted to practice one more time with a little bit more intention and maybe build off of what you just said, Pauline. I wanted to practice one more time noticing our centers and noticing each other and feeling the feeling in coordination with each other, which doesn't mean we're doing it the same rhythm, right? But meaning like, let me see how the feeling the group impacts my practice. And then I'll add one more thing, which is to notice the center and the ground. Let's hold ground for each other. Okay, so we're just going to do this for another moment or so. If you want to stand with me, whatever you noticed, notice that again. So drop into gravity. Feel for your center. Feel for that we all have our centers here. There's a collective center here. And of course, we're centered on the purpose of why we're here together. But we also have ground, a collective ground to stand on, right? So feel for that in your body if you can, like the earth is supporting us. And then let's go. You might want to feel like we're coming towards each other and regrouping away, towards and 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 away. Keep noticing the rest of us, whether that is with your eyes or your body. And then one more pause in this extension. And let's feel for what we care about. Feel for what matters to you. And bring that into your extension, like bring that into your heart, bring that into your hands. And then feel for what we all care about, like whatever you care about, I care about. Notice your belonging in that. And then go ahead and lower your arms. Okay, I'm going to do some wrapping up, right, Oriana? As much as I want to stay. You'll keep hearing my voice. Notice your sensations. Notice your sensations. I hope, as the rest of your days go on, you can notice your sensations as well. Oh, there it goes. Hey, so it's book day, huh? This slideshow is accessible to you, but these are my recommendations of books, and they complement very much Savannah's recommendation books that she put up. These are all great books if you're interested in body up healing. I, in particular, want to say that there's a free ebook that Kai Chang Tom has that's called So You're Ready to Choose Love, Trauma-Informed Collective Transformation for Social Justice and Spiritual Growth, that really integrates somatics into conflict, dealing with conflict. I want to tell you, I do a specific work with white folks around healing or transforming embodied white supremacy. And so I wanted to let you know that that's part of what I offer and that we have some upcoming courses. And I just wanted to thank you and invite you to please stay in touch with me. You can look me up on Instagram, Sue Kuyper Somatics, and I also have a link tree, which is also in the information that you have access to. Thank you so much for practicing, whether you wanted to or not. And remember, choice is more important than practice. So as we're concluding, whatever level of practice you did was practice. Yeah. Thank you so much.